to Grade 10 Science. This is part 4 of our series. So we're still in Earth and Space Science, but we are now moving to the next learning competencies. Learning competency number 2, describe the different types of plate boundaries, and learning competency number 3, explain the different processes that occur along the plate boundaries. So in your learner's module, you'll be using Unit 1, Module 1, pages 19 to 26. We're finally moving away from the first learning competency. So as usual in this video, we'll be having three-part activity or session. Okay, so for the first part, we'll be having a discussion regarding the formation of the Philippine archipelago. For the second part, we'll be having a discussion again for the convergence of continental plates. And then for the last part, we'll be having activity number 4, going separate ways. So remember that at this point in the series, we are still talking about convergent plate boundaries. Okay, so for this discussion, we'll be talking about how was the Philippine archipelago formed. As you observe in the photo, it is showing the Philippine mobile belt, and that majority of our islands in the Philippine archipelago are actually included in that Philippine mobile belt. These are known to have been formed 65 million years ago due to colliding oceanic plates. Also, remember that in our previous video, we were still talking about oceanic plate boundaries. Remember what happened or what happens when two oceanic plate boundaries are colliding. So please take note of all of the features that are formed and all of the events that are going to happen because of the collision of these two kinds of boundaries. Other parts of the Philippines, such as Palawan, Mindoro, and the Zamboanga Peninsula, are all highland sections of the Sundaland block of the Eurasian Plate. So, the Eurasian Plate, as shown in this photo, is right there sa may bandang taas, and that it has this block that is found bandang sa may Mindanao. And then next to that, to the right, is the Philippine Sea Plate. Remember what it is telling about Palawan, Mindoro, and Zamboanga. They are all highland parts of that collision. The Philippine Mobile Belt eventually collided with the Sundaland Block, which explains the presence of trenches such as the Manila, Negros, Cotabato Trench System, and the Sulu Trench. You'll also notice that to the right, you'll see the long Philippine Trench. It's actually stretching from Luzon up until the lower parts of actually lagpas pa ng Mindanao. Okay, so the products of the subducting Philippine Sea Plate beneath the archipelago are the following: East Luzon Trough, which is a trench; the Philippine Trench, which is another trench. So for this part, the Philippine archipelago is, it's called an archipelago for a reason because it is a group of islands. And that as islands, mga maliliit lang yan na mga portion ng lithosphere na talagang nag-emerge above sea level. Before, wala naman talaga sila dyan, di ba? We all know about that. And we have even heard that before, merong mga volcanic activities that actually took place that gave rise to each of these islands. This discussion is just telling us exactly what happened. So, before everything submerged underwater, and then because of the collision of the Sundaland Block, which is a part of the Eurasian Plate, and the Philippine Plate, because of that collision, it gave rise to most of our islands that are in the Philippine Mobile Belt. And one of the evidences that support this is the existence of these trenches, the East Luzon Trough and the Philippine Trench. Ayan siya. So, you see that there is a subduction zone as well in the illustration. Ibig sabihin din nun, nagkaroon ng colliding plates. Tama ba? Because one of the major events or the major features that are going to be produced or to happen when there's convergence is a subduction zone. So that ends the discussion regarding the formation of the Philippine archipelago. The next discussion is going to be regarding the convergence of continental plates. So this is the last part actually of this discussion. We are not going to do any activity about this because medyo meron na rin naman kayong idea as to what is the composition of a continental plate. And having known what happens among oceanic plates, let us now just having this induction of what is going to happen if you have two colliding continental plates. So when two continental plates converge, a collision zone is formed. As it is being shown in this illustration, a plate that is to the left, the plate that is to the right, they are going to converge, and thus in between them, merong isang high rising na portion ng land that's basically just like you're pulling two opposite ends of clay towards each other. Right? Halimbawa, you have seen a clay. You know what a clay is, right? So, hold one end of that clay. Say it's quite elongated. Okay, pahaba yung clay. Hold one end and then the other end, so it's left and right. And then you have to like do a converging motion. Pag dikitin mo yung two opposite ends nila, what's going to happen is yung bandang nasa middle niya is going to have this upward curve. Right? Just like what happened in this illustration. That is what you call a collision zone. Pataas siya. And when this happens, okay, when this happens, there is no subduction zone. Walang subduction process. Walang plate na bababa, okay, under another plate. Okay, walang ganon. There will be no trench, of course, walang ang subduction zone. There will be no volcano, na walang volcano mapform. And there is no volcanic island arc because again, wala naman ding volcano. Instead, there will be a tall group of mountains called mountain ranges. So it's really important for us to remember, okay? Anong pinagkaiba ng mountain ranges at anong pinagkaiba ng volcanic island arc? Kapag volcanic island arc, they are active. Ibig sabihin, they have this connection to a reservoir of hot molten magma. They have the tendency, these volcanoes, those landforms in the volcanic island arc, they have the tendency, the capability to explode. Whereas mountain ranges are nothing but high or tall portions of land, strings of mountains that are formed because of the collision of two continental plates. Just please always remember that. Alright, so one evidence of this is the Himalayan mountain ranges. If you observe it, nandyan siya. Okay, Indian plate to the upper left, and then the Eurasian plate, which is to the lower right. These collided to each other like many years ago, and they formed the Himalayan mountain ranges. It's a really long string of mountains. Yeah, so that ends the discussion for the convergence of continental plates. For the last part of this video, well, it's just 8 minutes pa lang naman. So, I would like to tell you this. Okay, in using these videos that I am creating, if you find my talking quite fast, then you may always like modify the speed of this video. Just figure out your way to do that. Or you may actually just repeat the entire discussion or repeat that portion or repeat the entire video if you must. At least nandito na lahat ng explanations na kailangan kong gawin. For the last part is an activity number 4, which is going separate ways. The objectives for this activity are as follows. The first one, explain the processes that occur along divergent boundaries. The next one is determine the results of plates that are moving apart. So say moving apart, it means that we are no longer talking about convergent plate boundaries or converging plate boundaries. We are already moving to the divergent plate boundaries. Okay, the second type of plate movement. For the materials, I'll be providing this to you, photographs of rift valleys and different mountain ranges. You may actually refer to your learner's module. Sinabi ko na rin naman yung mga pages na kailangan nyo gamitin, na gagamitin ninyo, And you may just open it to that same activity. Nandyan naman. So I want you to observe the following photos first. Start perhaps with the upper left and then going to the upper right and then lower right and then lower left. So I guess that the definitive characteristics of these four photos is that sa my upper corners, I mean sa my upper portions, they are both, they may have water, but, it's not like they're underwater, right? So I would like you to analyze the rift valleys. So yeah, you call those upper pictures, the topmost pictures, as rift valleys, okay? Whereas the lower ones, the lower two photos, you call them oceanic ridges. Okay, you call it rift valley because it's above the ocean. Okay, you can go ahead with that definition. And then oceanic ridges because they're underwater. Okay, so answer the questions that will follow. For question number 28, what are common in the four pictures? Okay, so we're not just talking about two photos here. I'm asking you sa mga apat na photos na yan, ano yung pagkakapareho nila? Okay, in what way are they similar? Question number 29, millions of years ago, the land masses in each picture were once connected. Okay, that was millions of years ago. Now, what do you think is happening to the Earth's crust in those pictures? Oh, I'm talking about real places, okay? We did not conjure these through Photoshop or what. We did not edit these, okay? We did not draw them. They were actual places. So millions of years ago, they were connected, and now you see that they have this partition. Now, what do you think is happening to the Earth's crust in these pictures? Question number 30. If this event continues for millions of years, okay, so it's actually referring to what happens to the Earth's crust in question number 29. If that event continues for millions of years more, okay, what do you think will be the effect on the crust? You may actually think about these photos. Millions of years more. What is going to happen to these? Question number 31 naman, I would like you to draw. Okay, so complete the drawing to illustrate your answer in question number 30. So assuming that we have that kind of photo sa may upper photo at present, okay? Assuming that is the status of the Earth's crust that is like described in the photos. Now, assume, or through a drawing, I would like you to predict, after millions of years, what is going to be the description through drawing of that photo. Ano na kaya magiging itsura niyan after millions of years? Just take your time in drawing it. You may pause this video. So that ends activity number 4, which is the last portion in this video. So for this video, again, we were able to discuss the formation of the Philippine archipelago, all of those islands, most of them being formed 65 million years ago, and they all belong, or they are all included in the Philippine Mobile Belt. The second part is a discussion on the convergence of continental plates, no subduction process, no trench, no volcanoes, no volcanic island arc, just the formation of mountain ranges, a long string of mountain ranges. Actually, pwede rin bang magka-earthquake? That is part of your work now. And then the last portion, we talked about, we did an activity. It's called Going Separate Ways. And as usual, we are going to discuss that in the next video. So this has been Earth and Space Science, and I hope that you always remember that we are just trying to finish the following learning competencies, because these are the main reasons why the main guides of our, the main guides of all our discussions. So second learning competency, describe the different types of plate boundaries. We're doing that. And then third learning competency, explain the different processes that occur along the plate boundaries. So we're also discussing that. So see you in the next video.